You know, you weren't born to be a spectator. You weren't placed here just to sit in the stands and react to whatever's happening on the field. No, you are the architect. You're the one who sees towers before they even pierce the sky, who sees opportunity before it becomes the extraordinary. This is about execution. It's about taking all those hours of preparation, all the pain you felt, and turning that raw material into the masterpiece that is the absolute best version of yourself. So let's begin building. Mark Twain just nails it here, doesn't he? He perfectly captures the essence of our entire journey. I mean, think about it. The first day, that just gets you into the show. It's a gift of staggering improbability. But that second day, that's where the real question comes in. What are you going to do with your time here? What are you going to make of this sunrise? Because we only get so many. And when you really, truly let the miracle of your own existence sink in, you start to see today not as some obligation, but as the most precious currency you will ever possess. So the foundation of this entire architecture, it all begins inside. It starts with a really crucial and totally necessary tension, an inner duality. See, true progress isn't about choosing one feeling over the other. It's about mastering the balance between them. It's about being deeply grateful for the road behind you, while at the same time staying relentlessly hungry for what lies ahead. That friction, right there, that pull between contentment and ambition, that is the very engine where all growth is forged. Now, what's so interesting here is the interplay between these two roles that you have to inhabit at the exact same time. On one hand, you have to be your own greatest fan, the one who celebrates your commitment to just show up, right? When your head hits the pillow, maybe you're tired, maybe you fell short of a goal, but you were in the arena. You showed up, you have to celebrate that. And yet, you must also be your biggest critic, the one who holds you accountable, who knows there is more in you, who understands that greatness isn't just given, it is extracted. One without the other is totally incomplete. And this right here perfectly illustrates the engine of that growth we're talking about. Consistency, that just gets you in the door. It's the non-negotiable cost of admission. It's showing up day in and day out, building mastery through repetition. But listen, consistency alone guarantees nothing. It only gives you a chance to write your story. Adaptation, that's what determines the quality of that story. It's the courage to look yourself in the mirror and ask, how can I be better? It's observing the data you've gathered and then having the guts to adjust your course. Without it, you're just running in place. Okay, so let's see how this foundation builds outward. How we go from managing your inner world to actually architecting your outer one. This is the critical shift. This is where you go from being a passenger, subject to the whims of chance, to becoming the one who draws the guidelines and sets the rules for your own reality. We often view life through this lens, don't we? It's like we see a giant glass jar filled with 3 million green marbles and just one red one. And we're told the odds of achieving our dream are astronomically low. It frames success as a lottery, right? A game of pure luck where you have zero control. And that whole perspective, it's designed to show you why you can't succeed. But the fundamental flaw in that whole worldview is that it ignores the most important variable in the entire equation, you. The person who succeeded wasn't just born a red marble. No way. They took control. Every single deliberate step, every decision to push forward, every time you dig deep, you are physically reaching into that jar and replacing a green marble with a red one. So the only odds that should ever warrant your attention are the odds that you will continue forward. And you have to know with absolute certainty that those odds are 100%. So, if you are the architect, and the odds are yours to control, what is it that ignites that monumental change? Well, it comes down to a single moment, a single decision. It's the most difficult, and therefore the most important step you will ever take. I remember standing on this cliff in Lake Tahoe with my friends. We were all supposed to jump. I walked right to the edge, I looked down, and I just froze. My body, my rational mind, it just refused to let me do it. So many situations in our lives are just like this cliff. We know, or at least we have a pretty good idea that the other side is better, but we just can't bring ourselves to make that leap. So the question is, what cliff are you standing on right now? This sentiment right here captures that experience perfectly. Being on the edge of that cliff is just sheer terror. But then, you jump. And in that moment of free fall, life just opens up. The terror isn't in the action, it's all in the anticipation. And here's the crucial point. If you are not content where you are, that is your reason to jump. Because the only way you can truly lose is to stay on that cliff for the rest of your life. And to make that jump inevitable, you have to commit fully. You have to burn the boats. First, you point the compass north. You set your meaningful destination and you lock it in. Second, you eliminate all the other options. You get rid of the safety nets that call you back to mediocrity. Because when your retreat is no longer a possibility, you are forced to find a new way forward. And finally, you make forward the only way. It's absolutely incredible how many solutions appear when just walking away is completely off the table. No, that forward path, it's rarely a smooth one. It is going to be difficult. But this is where we have to reframe our relationship with adversity. See, the storms of life, they are not obstacles on the path, they are the path. They are the very process that forges you into who you're meant to be. This is one of life's most profound truths. We're conditioned to see suffering as this giant sign that just says wrong way. But the reality is, storms break us down so that we can build ourselves back stronger. They wash away all the trivial excess, and they leave only what is truly meaningful. So the goal isn't to avoid the storm, it's to find purpose right in the middle of it. So what are these storms actually forge within us? Well, first, they provide unshakable strength. When you prove to yourself that you can move forward while you're scared or lost or even broken, you emerge with a fundamentally different understanding of who you are. Second, storms grant unmatched clarity. In the thick of it, you're forced to identify what really matters and ruthlessly let go of what doesn't. And finally, they offer a new perspective, shaking your foundation to reveal an awareness that those clear blue skies just couldn't provide. And all of this brings us to a crucial element in navigating your path: self-trust. A huge amount of life comes down to just believing in your own process. And I don't mean a blind faith, but an active, deliberate trust in yourself to learn, to make the necessary adjustments, and to just keep moving forward. I was playing a game of axe throwing with a friend a while back. So the target has a bullseye, right? Worth 5 points. But way at the top, there were these 2 tiny blue dots, worth 10. High risk, high reward. I had been really consistent all night, just aiming for the bullseye. But then, in the final round, my friend hits one of those blue dots, and immediately I abandoned my winning strategy. I started chasing his blue dots, and I missed every single time. I lost badly. And I realized later, if I had just ignored him and stayed true to my game, I would have won. So the crucial point is this: there will always be outside circumstances trying to redirect your course. There will always be blue dots, people finding success in ways that look faster or shinier or better. But you have to understand, it is all noise. You have to trust your own game, your own strength. Don't let the blue dots of the world hinder your direct line to your bullseye. You have to win your race, because that is the only finish line that has any real value. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the final piece of the architecture. We so often think that change requires a sledgehammer, some monumental insight, some secret answer that's going to smash down the door. But time and time again, we learn that what's truly required is a key, a simple, accessible tool that has been in our pocket the entire time. Monumental results are almost always the product of small, manageable actions. Could it be that the answers to our most challenging questions are so small, so simple, that we just brush them off as insignificant? The tools are in your possession right now. They might seem ordinary, maybe even unimpressive, but the gap between your reality and your ideal, it's not closed by a bulldozer. It's closed by understanding that the key in your pocket, the one you already have, will get you through the door. You just have to commit to turning it. You've always had it. So the only question that remains is, what door will you open? So what is defeat? What does it actually mean to lose? You know, we tend to think of it as something that happens to us, an outcome the world just hands down. But the real truth? It's much more personal. And believe it or not, it's way more within our control than we think. Today, we're going to dig deep into the psychology of our own limits. Just let that sink in for a second. This one sentence, well, it's the foundation for everything we're talking about. What it's really saying is that defeat isn't some final stop on the map. It's a state of mind. It's not something that happens to you. It's a conclusion you come to inside yourself. As long as you're breathing, as long as you're here, the game is not over. The loss is never ever final until you decide it is. You know, we picture defeat like it's some official notice we get in the mail, a letter from the universe saying, sorry, you failed. But it's not like that at all. It's actually a much quieter, more personal moment. It's that moment you look at the prize, you look up at that mountaintop, and you just say to yourself, you know what? The cost is just too high. It's not worth it. And see, this idea completely changes our relationship with adversity. As long as we are alive, we have the ability to find a way forward, to find a solution, to connect the dots that could change everything. Defeat, well, that's just the internal decision to stop looking for that solution. It's the moment you say no, not to the world, but to your own potential. Life isn't some treadmill that just turns off on its own, right? If your feet stop moving, it's because your brain gave the order. Stagnation isn't a place you just end up in. It's a choice you make when you decide that right now is the end of the line instead of an invitation to something more. We are actively choosing, whether we realize it or not, to be less than we can be. And that right there, that just shows you how much power we have, even when we're doing nothing at all. And that whole idea of choice, it leads us right into our next big point. See, every event, every setback, every delay, it's all just data. That's it. The real power is in how you choose to interpret that data. The story you tell yourself about your life literally becomes the story you live. You are the author, period. And right here, this is the fork in the road that changes everything. So picture this, you're 2 years into a new business, or maybe 6 months into a fitness journey, and you're just not where you wanted to be. The facts are the facts, but the story you tell, that's all on you. Do you choose the victim mentality? It's been 2 years, if I haven't figured it out by now, maybe I just can't. My pride is shot, I look dumb. Or do you choose the hero story? Wow, look how far I've come in just 2 years. Look at the foundation I've built. I've put myself in a position to win, and I am literally one decision away from a breakthrough. Both stories seem plausible, right? But only one of them moves you forward. And this isn't some motivational poster cliche. It's like the physics of your own reality. When you make yourself the victim, you get resentful. You start blaming the outside world for why you're stuck. It's their fault, the economy's fault, whatever. But when you make yourself the hero of your story, you become empowered. You have the ultimate power to shape your own legacy. And if you don't like the character you're playing, you can change the script. This brings us to a really unique and honestly kind of terrifying thing about being human. We're the only living things on this planet that have the conscious ability to choose to be less than what we are capable of becoming. Let's talk about this idea, the dignity of choice. Just think about this for a second. It's a powerful idea from the great Jim Rohn. A tree doesn't just stop growing halfway up because it got tired or felt discouraged. It doesn't sit there and negotiate its potential. No, it stretches and strains for every last inch of sunlight. Always. Every other form of life, from a blade of grass to a blue whale, seems to automatically strive for its absolute maximum potential, except us. We humans have been given this dignity of choice. You can choose to go for it all, or you can choose to settle for less. And that is both our greatest gift and our heaviest burden. Can you imagine getting to the end of a race knowing there were whole other levels you could have reached for, but just didn't? Imagine looking back at a life of infinite possibility and realizing you, yourself, put up the fences. That choice is yours to make every single day. And that's the real question, isn't it? Don't you just want to know? Don't you want to find that space where excellence has been saved just for you? There's always another level. I mean, think about a rowing machine. It gives you a hard number, right? The meters you rowed in 60 seconds. But what if your life literally depended on that next sprint being your fastest ever? You'd smash your record. Your body would find a way. And that just proves it. There's always more in the tank, right there, if you're willing to go for it. Aren't you just a little bit curious what that next level looks like? Okay, so knowing we have all this potential is one thing, but actually trusting our own path to get there, that's a whole other ballgame. In a world that is just full of noise and distractions and what looks like other people's success, it's absolutely crucial to focus on winning your race by trusting your game. This simple phrase, it comes from a story about a game of axe throwing, of all things. So in this game, the bullseye is 5 points, the next ring is 4, and so on. Pretty standard. But there are these 2 tiny, super hard to hit blue dots at the top of the target. They're worth 10 points each, and they represent those high-risk, flashy, long-shot plays that can so easily wreck a consistent winning strategy. So we're in the final round of this game. My friend goes first, and boom, he immediately hits one of those lucky blue dots. 10 points, just like that. So what do? I totally abandoned my strategy, which was working, by the way, of just aiming for the center. And I spent all my last throws trying to hit those same stupid blue dots. And of course, I missed every single one. He won easily. But after the game, when I looked at the scores, it hit me. If I had just ignored what he did, if I had just stayed true to my game and kept hitting 3s and 4s, I would have won, by a lot. I let the outside world change my strategy. I let the blue dots distract me. This gives us a whole new way to look at our lives. Think about our solar system. Everything orbits around the sun, right? Well, that sun, that needs to be you. Your true self, your values, your passions, that's the nucleus of your world. All that other stuff, the trends, the advice, the algorithms, the blue dots, they're just the planets. They should be orbiting around you, not the other way around. You don't change your core to fit some external thing. That stuff is just flavor you can sprinkle on top if you feel like it. So we get it now. Defeat is a choice. Our story is our own to write. And we have to trust our own path. But what actually starts all this? What's the real starting block for any meaningful change? It's a really powerful and often uncomfortable emotion. It's the feeling of having had enough. Jim Rohn pointed out 4 key emotions that have the power to completely turn a life around. And while they're all important, it's that first one, disgust, that's usually the one that lights the fuse. It's that moment you look at your life, at your circumstances, and you just say, I've had it. Rohn tells this story from when he was 25 and completely broke. A little Girl Scout comes to his door selling cookies. And he had to lie to make up a reason why he couldn't buy a box, because he literally didn't have the money. After she left, he was just hit with this overwhelming feeling of disgust. Not with the world, but with himself. He just decided he didn't want to live that way anymore. And that feeling, as negative as it sounds, was the most positive signal he could have gotten. It was his gut telling him, you're ready for more. This isn't enough anymore. That was the real beginning of his new life. That feeling of disgust, of being fed up, that's a gift. It really is. It's the leverage you need to build real momentum. It's you finally recognizing that you respect yourself too much to keep living one way when you know you're capable of so much more. You don't need to have all the answers right now. You just need to own that feeling, to decide right now that where you are is no longer enough. And then you have to ask yourself the only question that matters. What is your first step? I want to talk about a powerful idea, a fundamental mental shift. It's the idea that no one is coming to save you. And today, we're going to break down how to stop waiting for a solution and start becoming one. You've heard this before, right? I mean, we've all been there. You're at some networking event and someone says this to you with this incredible certainty, that all you need is that one connection, that one person in the room to unlock everything. And you know what? It's a really tempting thought. But what if that idea is a trap? Seriously, what if all those hours you spend hunting for that perfect handshake would be so much better spent at home, just grinding, working on yourself? What if looking for the answer out there is the very thing holding you back? And that leads us right into our first major point. You have to break the habit of looking for validation somewhere else. It is time to completely rewire where you search for value. I mean, just think about it for a second. So much of what we consume, so much of the advice out there, pushes this idea. Here's the secret to getting rich. Here's how you build a network that will change your life. We're basically taught that value is something you have to find, something you have to get from someone else. So we end up chasing these things, don't we? The perfect network, a ton of money, that one big break, that hidden secret. We see them as the ultimate goal. But here's the twist. They're not the goal. They are byproducts. They're just the results of something else entirely. And this is where we need to understand a critical concept: lagging indicators. See, these are the results that only show up after the real work is already done. They come second. They appear after you become so good, so valuable, that you're literally impossible to ignore. You build the value first. Everything else, it just follows. So this is the entire game right here. Your life transforms the moment you stop searching for the key and you start becoming the person who holds it. When you become the answer, all those questions about networking and money, they just start to solve themselves. Okay, so if the problem is looking for answers outside of ourselves, what's the solution? Well, let's get into it. This is all about the internal shift, the mindset you need to take back control of your own story. Look, you can't always control the things that happen to you. You can't stop that initial biological flash of rage when you find out your Facebook account got hacked. But you absolutely control your response. You control the story you tell yourself about it. You are the architect of its meaning. And this is where we have to completely reframe how we look at difficulty. You know that feeling of being stuck or having doubts, losing perspective? Those aren't bugs in the system. They're features. They are designed to make you tougher, to teach you something, to force you to grow. Think of your life as a grand symphony. It's not just a constant blast of high notes, is it? No. It's the low notes, the quiet pauses, the changes in tempo. That's what gives it texture. The contrast is what creates the beauty. The struggle is what makes the victory so damn powerful. Or picture this. You're on a long run. The wind blowing in your face, that headwind, it's resistance. It's tough. But on the way back, that exact same wind is a refreshing breeze at your back, cooling you down. The force didn't change. Your interpretation of it did. It's about choosing to find the value even in the struggle. So once we have that mindset locked in, how do we actually put it to work? A mindset without action is just a thought. This next part is all about execution. It's about the simple, profound art of just showing up. It really boils down to 3 core pillars. First, consistency. You just show up, period. It's not a choice, it's non-negotiable. Second, adaptation. You don't just show up blindly, you look at the feedback, at the data, you assess what's working and you adjust. And third, boldness. You have to constantly ask more of yourself because you know you always have more to give. See, this isn't about one single heroic effort. It's about a total commitment. Progress becomes a lifestyle when you automate the things you know you have to do. You take the internal debate off the table. When it comes to the things that are necessary to win, there are no choices. You just do it. And all of this, everything we've talked about, it leads to our final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle: developing a radical, unshakable trust in your own journey and your own purpose. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're at an axe throwing range and you're just dialed in, hitting the bullseye again and again. Then the person next to you hits one of those high-risk, high-reward blue dots. Suddenly, you feel this pull to abandon your own winning strategy to chase theirs. But sticking to your own proven path, your bullseye, that's almost always the move that wins in the long run. You know, there's that great line from Alice in Wonderland. It says it all, really. If you don't know what your bullseye is, if you don't know what actually matters to you, then everything looks like a distraction. Without that personal North Star, you're just reacting to the world instead of acting from a place of deep purpose. So here's the bottom line. You have to block out the noise. What other people are doing, their wins, their losses, their strategies, that has absolutely zero bearing on the race that you are running. Your only job is to show up for yourself, to trust your own process, and to keep your eyes fixed on your own finish line. Because this moment, right here, right now, this isn't the end of the line. It's just a single step on an infinite staircase. Where you stop, that's a choice that is entirely up to you. You are the one writing this story. So my question is, what will you decide to write on the next page?